magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizards, oh, 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 oh. Life is a spell we know. We're casting joy and glow, oh, oh. That's a wizard show.
Sometimes, Wizards of the Coast surprises us. And sometimes, the Vox Populus surprises us. And this is one of those times. Hello and welcome. It's me, the OGGM, crocheting with you here on the Crochet channel, 24/7 Dungeons and Dragons Crochet. I got to do like my calm, soothing ASMR voice for this, I guess. Okay, I'm just gonna crochet a little bugbear here. There's no wrong crocheting. Whatever your crochet needles decide to crochet, you know, maybe a little happy accident. Gonna put a little tree there. So this dropped yesterday. Wizards of the Coast announced that they were making 5 new titles that nobody saw coming. 4 of which were fluff books. One of which is a book that's apparently, from what I've heard, not for D&D 5, but actually for 3.5. One of the fluff books that got dropped and announced was the Book of Many Patterns, which I'm sure Mackenzie has something to do with. And it's a D&D crochet, which, I mean, we've already had D&D the cookbook, D&D the drink book. We know that the whole plan is branding D&D because Wizards doesn't feel that D&D the game makes them money. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, D&D crochet, sure, why not? It's not like it's going to cost Hasbro that much money to make this, and it'll probably sell because crochet is popular. I know you might be thinking to yourself, what? Fuck, no, it's not. But yeah, it's popular. It's and it's not like it's going to require any work on Wizards of the Coast part because all the work's already been done. There are already tons of D&D crochet out there and have been for apparently a while. So it's not like this is a surprise. It's not like this is new. Yeah, I mean, people have been doing this. There's sets, there's unofficial books, there's, you know. So all Wizards is doing is merchandising something that already exists and then probably going into all these other people that have made D&D crochet and gone, hey, wait a minute. I don't remember giving you permission to make D&D crochet there, buddy. So yeah, not something I would have put in my box of things I think Wizards is going to make. But that's probably because I don't often think about crochet. Now that I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that totally makes sense. And let's face it, some of these are cute. And if I had any talent whatsoever, I'd probably, make a crochet beholder while I'm watching TV. I mean, So we're upset about this. We are upset about the crochet book. And here's where I play devil's advocate and defend Wizards of the Coast and question why people are upset. Because if you're like me, which I thought by now everybody was after 5 years of this nonsense, you wouldn't care. You would reach the point of saturation and just be like, whatever. I'm not a fan of Wizards of the Coast. I'm not buying their product. I'm not playing their product. I don't have anything to do with their product. Whatever they do with Dungeons and Dragons doesn't bother me anymore. It's their thing to do with what they please. They think they know what their target audience is. I don't have to agree with it, but it's not going to bother me. I wouldn't even talk about it anymore, except it's part of my show. And apparently it does get views, and it is fun to point at them and laugh. But it's been since 2020, guys. And as I consistently remind you, this has been the plan since 2020. So merchandising Dungeons and Dragons as a brand should not come as a surprise and shouldn't upset anybody who are all making claims that they don't care anymore about Wizards does. You're not playing Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons anymore. You're not buying Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons anymore. You have all found your appropriate replacement for Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons, be it Shadowdark, Castles and Crusades, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Dragon Slayer, Adventure Conqueror King 2, Horde Wars, or, my stuff. Shadowdark, like me, if your go-to D&D is Shadowdark or Castles and Crusades. So you people keep telling me you don't care. And I saw this and I was like, that's fine. I don't care. Makes perfect sense. They're doing what they said they're going to do. I'm not upset. It's fine. It's funny. It's but I'm not surprised. And yet I'm seeing post after post after post of people going, blah, 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 Wizards of the Coast, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, why do you care? Let them do what they said they were going to do. We know they don't care about the game. And all of us who do have the game and love the game and are part of the history of the game and appreciate it, we've found our replacement. And sure, we can be like, fuck you. You don't care about the legacy anymore. Fuck you, Brendan McGulligan. You don't know what Thaco is. Fuck you, Mackenzie Dioms, for being just an awful human being. And sure, we could be upset about Brandon Mulligan not knowing basic math. We could be upset about Mackenzie and her bullshit. But Wizards of the Coast making a book about D&D crochet should just be in the I don't fucking care. Let them do what they want. It doesn't bother me. So you might be questioning, why this? Why this? Crochet isn't popular. Well, as we see, it is popular. And there's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons crochet. So, okay, it's a thing. Fantasy character crochet has been a thing. There's plenty of crochet Santa Clauses and monsters and fairies. So D&D seems a logical jump that there are people who are crocheting little D&D things and selling them on their Etsy or doing their little ASMR or whatever. That's fine. I don't care. Fuck, I'd probably do it myself if I thought I could. It's a great way to keep your hands busy while you're watching TV, or if you're recovering from a cold or something, or you can't move because you broke a leg. It's supposed to be very therapeutic and fun. And then you can make and sell and trade them. I don't know, start an Etsy store and get a little extra money on the side with your Dungeons and Dragons crochets. And second, more importantly, the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. We can rattle our cage and go, oh, I hate you so much, Wizards of the Coast, for doing this to my hobby. In which Wizards of the Coast would say, well, it's not like you're spending any money on the hobby. So why are you complaining? You guys have made it perfectly clear. You hate us. So we don't care. We hate you. We've made that perfectly clear. OGGM, you don't know what you're talking about. You're a fucking idiot. You're an old man. Except I do know what I'm talking about because I have the numbers right in front of me. And it's not like they were hard to find. Quarterly Hasbro Q2 numbers. Okay. Dungeons and Dragons physical media, i.e. Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, Dungeon Master's Guide, anything that they made between 2024 and 2025, adventures, modules, whatever, product, down. Player's Handbook sales down 28%. Dungeon Master Guide sales down 28%. Monster Manual sales down 28%. Adventure sales down 28%. Q2 starts with Hasbro at a $1.6 billion loss, and Dungeons and Dragons, the tabletop role-playing game, showing a 28% drop in sales. On the other hand, Dungeons and Dragons, the brand, shows a 20% sales hike. Now, people who like to fiddle with the fact are ignoring the first part and just going, look, D&D had a 20% sales spike. Obviously, it's selling. Obviously, it's working. Obviously, it's popular. You're wrong, GM Grumpy McGrump. You don't know what you're talking about. And that's what Wizards of the Coast and the Wizards of the Coast shills, like, Bob and Jeannie and those guys want you to, and Scott and those guys want you to think 20%. Oh, D&D is up. as long as you ignore the fact that it showed a 28% drop for the physical product. So that means that shelf at Walmart or Barnes & Noble with the D&D books from the beginning of 2025, January 1st, to whenever the Q2 numbers dropped at the beginning of mid-July, I think, those books aren't selling. Okay, nobody was picking up that player's handbook and walking out the store with it. What they are picking up is the merchandise, is the branding, is the dice bags, the stickers, the toys, the stuffed animals, Dungeons and Dragons, the beard oil. That's showing a 28% jump. I mean, I'm sorry, 20% jump. Sales down 28%, D&D up 20%. So Hasbro told you, we don't think Dungeons and Dragons is making us money. The only way Dungeons and Dragons can go forward is if we focus on Dungeons and Dragons as a lifestyle brand. If we focus on licensing out the IP so people can make Dungeons and Dragons Hot Pockets, Dungeons and Dragons beard oil, Dungeons and Dragons meat snacks, Dungeons and Dragons breakfast cereal, Dungeons and Dragons coloring books, Dungeons and Dragons the flamethrower. The kids love that one. That's what they told you they were going to do. And they've consistently told you that this was the plan since 2020. I mean, really, they've been telling you that's what they were going to do since 4th edition. This is the plan. And the numbers show the plan works. D&D Crochet will make us money because it costs us nothing to make this book. And look, the last lifestyle brand book we made sold, but the last physical role-playing game book we made didn't sell. Okay, we're going to ignore the fact that the reason why it didn't sell is a whole bunch of those are still sitting on the shelves over at Diamond because we haven't resolved the bankruptcy thing with them yet. But as long as we ignore that fact that, you know, a huge chunk of our product has not been on the shelves, yeah, they're not moving. And even if the Diamond thing is resolved and the $9 million, how the fuck do you go into debt for $9 million Diamond before you realize you fucked up? Most people realize they fucked up when they're out, you know, in debt $100. Oh, fuck. We're in debt $100. We should probably fix that. Diamond's like, doop, 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 doop. Oh, we owe Wizards of the Coast $9 million? That's fine. Doop, 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 doop. And that's part of the reason why they showed a $1.6 billion drop at the beginning of Q2, because of the Diamond thing, because of the tariff thing, because of all the other things. So they justified the drop by estimating this is how much we're losing based upon all the outside circumstances that we don't have any control over, you know. But yeah, D&D Crochet should not surprise anyone, and it certainly shouldn't upset anyone. Vote with your wallet, guys, and that's what we did. We voted with our wallets. We told Wizards of the Coast, F you. We don't like what you're doing with the hobby. We don't like you're doing with the tradition of the hobby. We're going to crash D&D Beyond. We're going to post hundreds of videos since 2023 about how awful you are. In return, Wizards of the Coast is going to post hundreds of videos about how awful it thinks the fans are and bring up idiots like Mackenzie and the stuff that comes out of Crawford's mouth and say, okay, well, fine. Then we're not going to focus on the game. We're not going to focus on appeasing the older people. We're not going to focus on the history of the hobby. We're going to rewrite the history of the hobby because you guys don't care. You told us you don't care. You consistently tell us to fuck off. You consistently tell us you're not going to spend money on our product. So why should we care? The people who are spending money on our product are the fans, are the tourists, are the sparkle trolls. And you can say, well, no, that's not really true. And to some extent, the fan base that they think they're catering to isn't actually spending any money on it. The actual 5e crowd is just as upset as the OSR is about the state of Dungeons and Dragons. We love Dungeons and Dragons, and we hate what Wizards is doing to the Dungeons and Dragons. And we're very verbal about the fact that we hate what Wizards of the Coast is doing to Dungeons and Dragons. And Wizards of the Coast has told us repeatedly over the past 4 years, They don't care what we think. In fact, they think we're all pieces of shit. And they have continuously tried to reinforce the false narrative that anybody that played Dungeons and Dragons before 2014 is a piece of shit. And then they rewrote that to say anybody who played Dungeons and Dragons before Mackenzie, before 2024, is a piece of shit. If you're not on brand with current D&D, you're a piece of shit. Even if you're playing 5 and not playing 5.5, you're a horrible human being. And we're going to continue to reinforce that false narrative that you're horrible human beings. You're not our audience. We don't fucking care about you because you're not spending money on us. You're taking your D&D money and spending it on stuff the OGGM has made. At least you better be. So why shouldn't we make D&D the Crochet Book? That's the people who are buying our stuff. Not gamers, sparkle trolls, tourists, mom and pop, crochet makers. Well, they don't play. They don't really play. We don't care that they don't really play. I hate Ryan David. We don't care that they don't really play. We've made that perfectly clear since 2020. You're not spending money on the game. Why should we invest in the game? This is what you want. Look, the numbers spoke for themselves. Every time we throw more money into the thing that sold, it continues to sell. Anytime we throw money at D&D, it doesn't sell. Of course, we're our own worst enemies when it comes to D&D because of all the crap we have done since 2020, and especially since 2023 till today. But we fail forward. We fail forward because we continuously show profit in the stuff that showed us profit in 2020 that we decided to focus on. And in 2023, when we made the whole bullshit about we're merchandising D&D, again in 2024, when we said we're going to merchandise D&D, it's the anniversary, but we're going to focus on a false narrative and merchandising shit like D&D beard oil, that's what sold. Meanwhile, the books are sitting on the shelves gathering dust, and then suddenly they're on the shelves 20% off at Ollie's. People can't give away the D&D 2024 Player's Handbook. So, yeah, why are you upset? We told you what we were going to do. We did what we were going to say we were going to do. And doing what we said we're going to do is making us money. You have your game. You have Shadowdark. You have Dragon Slayer. You have Castles and Crusades. You have 5,000 OSR, OGL retro clones. You have Horde Wars, which isn't a retro clone. You have the amazing stuff the OGGM is making. And you've told us that's what you're going to spend money on. And we accept that because we hate you. But that's okay because you hate us. And maybe you hated us before we hated you. But then, I mean, the edition wars, you've always kind of hated us ever since we took over. Because you can't let go that it's not your game anymore. And am I being hypocritical? Because Lord knows I've complained about stuff that has come out of their mouth. Maybe, but no. Because I'll complain about what Brandon Lee Mulligan has said. I'll complain to the end of my days about idiots like Mackenzie and Crawford. But then I'll also remind everybody, yeah, this is stupid and I fucking hate it, but this is exactly what they said they were going to do. And I'll gladly be upset for you. I'll gladly go to these stories and look up the numbers and do the work because that's what I've built the franchise of the OGGM around. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, talking about D&D news. And a huge portion of that D&D news is looking at what stupid thing Wizards of the Coast has done this week and going over it, making fun of it, being angry about it, and then saying, but why am I upset? Because this is exactly what they said they were going to do. There's nothing coming out of Wizards of the Coast right now that isn't part of their plan to merchandise the IP. D&D the game does not make money. D&D Crochet does make money. You can cry and whine and argue, and the OGGM can make 100 more videos about how awful we are. And Diversity in Dragons can make 100 more videos about how stupid we are and sparkle trolls and all the other horrible things you say about us. But at the end of the day, we're crying into our pile of money. You're not our target audience. The tourists are our target audience. You may hate that. You may think that's dumb. You may think that's stupid. You may think that's mishandling the D&D legacy, but that's the plan. That's what's working for us. That's what's showing us profit. That's what we have the intellectual capability to actually present, because we don't even understand the legacy we've been in charge of because we have idiots like Mackenzie running the show. That's just what we do because...
In the classroom, potions gone astray, flying through the quad, now brighter every day. Laugh till we cry hard, sneaking out at night, cloaks in the moonlight, everything feels right.